On Tuesday, our colleague Elaine Quijano will moderate the only debate between the vice presidential candidates. Republican Mike Pence and Democrat Tim Kaine will go head-to-head at Virginia's Longwood University. So we thought in this hour we would take a look back at 40 years of vice presidential debate history in this country. But first, we begin with the state of the presidential race. And to do that, and to help me with that, I want to introduce CBSN contributor and Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez and CBS News contributor and editor of NewYorker.com, Nick Thompson. Welcome to you both.
How are you, Vlad?
Good to see you. So let's talk the state of the presidential race before we get into this. Nick, there's a New York Times story out today. It says that Donald Trump may have gone 18 years without paying any federal income tax. The Clinton camp obviously says this is a bombshell. What do you make of it?
Well, I think what's most interesting about it is that it says that he didn't, he got a deduction of $900 million, which was actually too big a number for the tax software back at the time, which is why there were some interesting irregularities in the return that they saw. I think the most dangerous thing for the Trump campaign is that it reminds people that he wasn't such a great businessman at that period. His wealth and all that he's made hasn't been from his business empire and from his hotels as much as it's been from his branding and from his, Donald Trump as a character, Donald Trump as a persona. And when people are reminded of that, it may make them like him less. The fact that he got this deduction, they didn't pay taxes, I mean, it's more an indictment of the way the law works than it is an indictment of him. He is supposed to take every deduction he possibly can and not pay it. I mean, it is kind of gross that the system allowed him to do that, but I don't think the actual act is going to be held against him too badly.
Right, and Leslie, it's not illegal, and what Mr. Trump is saying on the campaign trail is, look, I've always taken advantage of the laws in this country that are broken, and that's my responsibility as a businessman, and I'm going to change those laws once I become president of the United States.
Exactly. I think Nick hits exactly on the point in the second part of that, because any sole proprietor, anybody who's ever taken deductions, it's interesting in focus group data, they will come back and tell you, I would take advantage of any opportunity, any loophole that is within our tax system as long as it's legal. So there's this alignment that if it is legal, he did the best he could. They basically, nobody is inclined to want to give more money to the IRS than they have to.
So there are two.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
To your comment that Trump understands the tax code better than anybody else and that'll help him fix it. His accountant understood it, but there's a really funny detail when they went to interview his accountant. He's like, yeah, Trump didn't ask any questions, didn't really know anything. His wife asked a lot of questions. I don't think Trump actually studied it. He just had his accountant do it.
For sure, and that's how it works with all of us in this country. The tax code, as a lot of politicians on both the left and the right have said, is extremely complicated. Most people have no idea how to make sense of it, and a lot of people have said that they want to go to Washington to try and change that.
Well, you're exactly right. And who are the most disadvantaged? People that do not have accountants and 10 accountants on staff. And small businesses particularly worry about that they are paying more than they need to because they cannot understand a complex system. And even families realize there are many more loopholes. They want a fairer system. You can be a broker of the system if you think you take advantage of all those loopholes, but I think it's a disingenuous argument on behalf of Trump.
So there are two things that the American people have to decide when they're thinking about a Trump presidency. One, Nick, is the question that you bring up. Is he as successful a businessman as he says he is, even though he almost lost $1 billion during at one point of his career? And Leslie, to your point, is he just taking advantage of the tax laws that we would all like to be able to do, but we don't have the means to do that? But here's how the Trump campaign is spinning the loss of those assets. Take a listen.
What it shows is what an absolute mess the federal tax code is, and that's why Donald Trump is the person best positioned to fix it. There's no one who's shown more genius in their way to maneuver around the tax code and to rightfully use the laws to do that. And he's already promised in his tax plan to change many of these special interest loopholes and get rid of them so you don't have this kind of situation.
The reality is, this is part of our tax code. The man's a genius. He knows how to operate the tax code. He has an obligation as the head of a business to take advantage of and to use the lawful deductions and tax advantages that are available to you.
All right, we've heard Donald Trump called businessman, billionaire, but Donald Trump, genius. Nick.
Well, these are surrogates. They go on TV, and this is a difficult day, and I think genius is just what came out. I mean, both of what Christie and Giuliani said, there are bits of truth in there. He does have an obligation, not just, he wants to make as much money as he possibly can. It's complicated over whether it's a duty to his shareholders, since he is a private entity and those are his personal returns. So there's a little bit of fuzziness in that part of Giuliani's answer. But in general, what they say is correct. This is a sign that the tax code is broken. It is also a sign, as we've been talking, that he wasn't such a great businessman.
But Leslie, is it a sign that Donald Trump is a genius?
That's a little far-reaching. That's a little far-reaching.
Okay.
You know, that was a stretch in the communications talking points.
I mean,
that went out
Einstein is a
today.
genius.
Well,
right?
yeah. Let's give it some perspective.
Right, exactly.
Let's give it some perspective. But did they take advantage? Again, though, it points to the disparity. You can argue this both ways. The wealthy have all the advantages. They know about these loopholes. Where is the middle class and the working class in this argument? And which side of this argument are they going to take? I think it's a little bit of both.
Well, and this is why politically this actually could be quite damaging, right? Because there are a lot of people who pay taxes who really don't like paying taxes. It's hard to pay taxes. They take a lot of your money, the government. This is one of the reasons why Republicans have been so successful over the years. And then here is Donald Trump, and he's able to get away with it. And the optics of that, I don't think are particularly good.
You're not a rallying cry for the IRS.
Right.
You're just not going to see that.
No, you're never going to see that no matter where you stand on the political divide. And to the New York Times, on Sunday, the reporters for the New York Times appearing on CNN, when asked if there were more coming, they said no comment. So this is not going away.